Hello, everybody.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Perfectly Normal Paranormal Communication. We have Reggie there, we have me here, and then we have the Wraith Prince himself, Oracle of Darkness, Anthony.
I thought it was Race World tonight.
Wraith Prince.
Oh, we're talking about the Race Prince tonight? Oh, okay, cool.
That you were the one that put it up there, right?
Mm.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Anyway,
Oh,
welcome
yeah.
everybody. It's going to be a
Daryl?
sort of a different show tonight because Reggie's going to be taking a well-deserved night off, and he's going to be going to Alice Cooper tonight in Madison. So that should be a lot of fun. So if any of you people can go there, you can probably throw things at him if you see him in the audience. He's just as famous as Alice.
What the hell? How can he be on right now at 6 or 7 o'clock?
I don't know. But anyway, we're going to start off by going ahead, just going down. We got a Facebook user again here. Good evening, everybody. Is it Courtney? We got Lisa Myers. We got Carol Garcia. Pedro Cardoza. Jamie Lee Keller. I'm jealous. He is Greg. Greg who? I don't know who that is. So tonight what we got going is, we're going to go ahead and talk with you people, and questions and answers for both myself and Mr. Anthony. And it's one of those nights where that might not be a bad thing because there may be a lot of questions that you people come up with that normally you don't have the opportunity to get answered. So Barbara Woodbury Spears here. She's also always an awesome lady. There's nothing but awesome people in here right now. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can do a Q&A on Greg and the Race Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Thank you, Anthony. That's super. So, how many different? Do you have all those different comments up there now, Reggie?
Yeah. I've been posting them.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw it or not.
So
now, first question that might pop up. Earlier, Greg stood up, and yes, he does have pants on. What? What, Greg? I'm messing.
Jamie Lynn Keller wants to know. I want to know if you all are going to get the Chattergeist. I don't know how to answer that. Thank God. Prove it. LOL. There's a lot of. Go ahead and if you got any questions, go ahead and ask them. That would be good. I know that.
Prove it. Somebody said prove it. Who said
somebody
that?
said prove it.
Yeah, look at that. There you go, Reggie.
Wait,
I don't know if this is going to go south in a minute.
Well, she's asking to prove that Greg has pants on.
Oh.
That's what she's asking.
I
know Barbara. That's what she means. Oh, here he goes.
I think it was a.
Look at that.
They're removable, though, Barbara.
That's funny.
So, woo-hoo! It's like a novelist, but it has a word bank of 17,500 words, not the 2,700. Is this a new item, Jamie Lynn? It has to be brand new. I've never even heard of it before. Have you heard about it, Anthony?
No.
Who puts it out? No pickle tonight, Lisa. This is an all-American show. We don't want to bring any, the seeds. Some of the seeds that are there could be from other things from different countries.
I'm muting my mic because I'm getting ready to go.
Okay.
I'll be back here in a few minutes.
Okay. Have a great evening. Must be expensive. Yeah, probably. I would say so. What's the subject tonight? The subject is question and answer, Q&A. We're going to do that tonight. George, good to see you. Yes, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me back. I had a great time. I was in Canada and fishing there, and then after Canada, and we were in northern Wisconsin with the whole entire family for a week. So, what did you find
Me, I was fighting with Ernie Pack.
with Ernie?
Yeah.
Tell Ernie to. Oh, we can't get him on, can we?
No, he's on the podcast right now.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Why are you fighting with him when he's on his podcast?
Yeah.
Where is Alice Cooper playing tonight? He's playing in Madison. I don't want to say it's the Theater of the Performing Arts on the campus. I think that's what it's called, but I'm not sure. But it's in Madison, Wisconsin. So if you leave right now, you probably won't make it. What am I doing Sunday, Greg? Boy, oh boy, that's how many days away. Probably cutting grass and working in the garden. Why do you say that, Jamie Lynn? Mary Lynn Bast is here. Hi, Mary Lynn. How are you? Good to see you. Where are you going next, Greg and Anthony? Well, I'll be on the Shadow Hour tomorrow night.
Where are we going next? What do you mean, like investigating or?
Oh, probably. The Rhodes Hotel. The Rhodes Hotel is going to be on August 20th and 21st.
Any new projects? Yeah,
And
we were talking about that earlier.
And that's in Atlanta, Indiana. And that's going to be a great night. I had won at the Lost Limbs night at the Haunted Hour in Auburn, Illinois, Robin Terry's place, and of course you all know that Mike Couch is the owner of the Rhodes Hotel, and he will be there when we're there. I don't know how many people we have right now, but we may have a few openings. But that's I like, once again, we have to be leaving there Sunday and get there Sunday afternoon, and then go get dinner and then get ready. Everything's set up, and we're going to be there all night until like 10 o'clock the next morning. And they got some good beds there, and you get to pick your room, and the rooms are all haunted. So it's a lot of fun. I've been there quite a few times, and I always like this one particular room where the person that occupied the room when he was alive was one of the younger son of the owners who had tuberculosis and ended up dying in the bed. And every year I go there, he sort of remembers me. So last year I went ahead and threw my sleeping bag on top of the bed, and I called some people that were in the group down the hall, and they all came, and we were standing there, and he proceeded to take the sleeping bag and push it right off the bed, which was pretty cool when you see it. But obviously nobody recorded it, so let's see what else we got here. So apparently, Carol says, I'm spontaneously remote viewed while I was in Florida, and I don't know how I did it. Has this happened to either of you before? Anthony, you want to answer that?
Let me see. What was it? I have.
So she says, apparently I spontaneously remote viewed while I was in Florida, but I don't know how I did it. You spontaneously.
I don't know how I did it. Has it happened to you either? I don't know. I've been going through some weird stuff lately when I'm asleep, but then my sleep is always weird. Um, yeah, the other day, because usually when I go to sleep, I it's like my body sleeps, but I can still see even though my eyes are closed. I can look over to my clock and see what time it is. Um, I can still hear and feel just like if I'm awake, but my body's asleep. But I guess half of me is asleep or something. Uh, this last time that the other day, which like day before yesterday, I've been having some weird dreams. They're not even dreams. It's almost kind of like when you're going on TikTok, you see TikTok and you got those little short clips and you can just scroll and there's another one and another one. They're like little segments.
Yeah.
That's what I could see. Seeing segments of not of my life, but what was going around my life. Kind of like seeing this right now, and then flipping to another one and seeing something else. But I actually felt because sometimes I have a hard time coming back, and
What do you mean coming back?
like when Carol's talking about remote or leaving your body. That's
Coming back into
yeah,
yourself?
that's mainly for me. It's I always leave my body, and this last time it was so hard because I left, and like she said, I wasn't really prepared for it. It happened, and usually I don't do it all the time because I'm always trying to get some sleep, real sleep. So that's the time that you put aside to do something like that. But this last time it happened to me like 2 days ago, I left and I told myself, "You died. You're dead. You just passed away," and it happened so fast. Like I literally felt that I didn't even have a chance to say goodbye or anything, to my daughter, my wife, anybody. I just closed my eyes and he's gone. And you know how we hear that a lot? I just saw him just the other day. I just saw him earlier and he's gone. And I said that I was telling that to myself that you can't go back. And so it's to me, I would say that I felt what it feels like for someone to pass and not know that they've passed. And sometimes this is the kind of spirits that we deal with. They don't realize that they've passed on, and I could literally feel it that I'm gone, and it was so hard to pull myself back to wake up that even when I woke up, I felt like I was going into a seizure because I kept shaking or flopping around. As you can see, I'm not trying to make fun of it, but when people when they have seizures, you start to not shaking like this, but you start to kind of flop. And I started to do that, and I was telling my wife, and I was telling her, "Where am I at? Where am I at?" And I could hear myself, and she heard me because she was awake, and I was telling her, "Where am I at?" And I mean, it was a pretty interesting experience. I haven't had one like that before.
So you think it's sleep paralysis, like Jamie Lynn Keller said?
Well, paralysis where you can't move.
Right.
You
And
know,
you
I can
would actually,
move. Yeah, that's like when a succubus comes after you and then she gets on your chest or holds your feet and stuff like that. I've had that happen, you know, and but you can work your way through that also. It just takes time.
so this Facebook user says when people use the spirit box, it is using radio signals, right? If so, then how can some say that the response sounds like their loved one's voice? I'm confused. Well, what is happening is the spirit box has two different sort of like settings. It can go in forward and reverse mode. That's like dividing the sweeps. So the sweep, instead of going forward, it can go backwards. A lot of people like to use a reverse sweep just so that it throws out those words that come across in the radio waves from being words that you could understand and hear. Uh, and it's been proven, it's been talked about and used over and over again in the respect that when you use a spirit box, you can use a random sweep, you can use a linear sweep, uh, and when you ask the questions, they have the ability to go ahead and form words from what they're picking up or what they're hearing on the radio reception itself. So therefore, they could go ahead and make a reply. As far as them actually sounding like their loved ones, I imagine that one would go ahead and perceive that on their own, not necessarily the people around them, but you'll hear people say that quite a bit. It sounds like my dad, and there's certain times that yes, it does, and I'm not going to deny that, but it does come through that way, and can, and it takes a lot of work to go ahead and get a loved one to come through. It's not something you just pick up the machine and turn it on and it happens. You have to go ahead and secure a spot on the machine. You have to build up a relationship with the machine. You have to go ahead and it's your machine. It's like, how can I say this? A lot of investigations and things that I've been on over the years, people would go ahead and they would randomly go ahead and say, here's my spirit box. And a great gentleman who I want to try to get on some of the shows that I do, on one of the shows that I do. His name is Jeff Resman. And Jeff pretty much laid down the law for me for sort of the proper etiquette of use of the spirit box, is a good way of putting it. And that was the opportunity where you get the spirit box, the first thing you do is you start to build a relationship. And you tell the spirit box that, I this is Greg and you're my spirit box, and I have guides, or I could have guides, I could have operators, I could have techs, whatever I want to use for names, and then I would go ahead and tell it all of that, and then when I keep on continually playing the spirit box, it's not something, like I said, that happens overnight. It's something that you need to actually go ahead and listen for, and finally they will come through and they will say things. And it takes a time period, that's for sure. It's not something, like I said earlier, that goes overnight. But it's a little startling the first time you hear anything like it. I know I have a great box, and I had some friends with me at a location that we go to, or we used to go to quite a bit. We still can, and it's a public building, but it's closed, and we're inside, and I was getting responses back, but to verify the responses, I went into my pocket and I pulled out a dollar bill and I I held it up and I said, "What am I holding in my hand?" And the response was dollar. And the two people that were with me just wanted, they were just like freaking out. They said, "How can he do? How can they do that?" I says, "Because they're spirit. They can see everything. They're in the room. They're communicating with you." So, okay, so let's. You want to go ahead and pick one, Anthony?
Let me see. Well,
Anything
there's
else on
two.
that?
There's never separate from your silver cord, and then there's that one where Lisa says, "I always feel drained when running Spirit Box. It makes me sleepy." And then I think Carol answered to that, protecting and grounding before using the box.
Yes.
Yeah, which that comes with everything. I mean, you have to go prepared for this. And well, hold on.
For the people that see the show, Metaphysical Crossing, and that's going to change too a little bit. The name's going to change. What we do on there is we start off with the prayer to Saint Michael. We ask for everybody in the comment section to go ahead and set the intention for us to be able to communicate with spirit, and we ask for ourselves to be used as a condominium, conduit from which spirit speaks.
Right.
And those are important parts that are intricate. And all it takes is one person with some negative thoughts, and that could totally destroy a session. Everybody has to be on the same wavelength. They all have to want to talk to spirit. You have anything to add to that, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying there earlier was that um, this is what I'm starting to talk about more, bring more on my podcast is that this is a way of life. This is not something because we see it. Even to some people that have been around it for a long time, they still really haven't committed to whether which ability they're going to use. Of course, some people can use them all because they already have, in a way, mastered their abilities. And it's just kind of like we do many things in our life. We can drive a car, or we can ride a bicycle, or we can come inside and cook. All those are different abilities, just different than the paranormal, but they're the same. But we acquire that through time, and so I've just noticed that a lot of people don't really master any of their abilities. They're like a jack of all abilities, but master of none. And even though they've been around it for 15 years, even up to 20 years, and so when it comes to like that, to be able to use a spirit box or anything, you can do. If you master something, you can do it at a drop of a dime like that. You can remote view just like that. You can do whatever it is that you do if you already acquired that, where you've I would say like you've mastered it. And so that's reasons why people get drained or they get attacked because they're not coming into it. Um, they're not coming into it already seasoned. I would say, it's just kind of like, and then like even for the younger people or the other people that are just coming into it, of course, the TV is the one that shows everything, and even on some podcasts, you hear people talking about this and that, and this takes years. Your abilities is something that you have we've always had our abilities. That's what I believe. We were born with them. We had them, and just that through once we're born, then we start to be conditioned in a different way, and we forget what we have. They're still with us because we go through life feeling this and feeling that, or getting this bad feeling in our stomach not to go here or do this. You call it intuition, but that's your abilities. You just haven't harnessed them, because and that's what I mean. So those are just signs to me that that person needs training and proper training. Like I say, pick one and master it, then pick the next one and master that one too.
In this field, though, there's nobody that really is any better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the subject matter we're talking about, it's important for everybody to understand that particular point because, like what Anthony was saying, it's you know it can happen to anybody. I mean, you can get if you don't properly, you forget one little thing in your process of protection, you could end up with somebody with an attachment. You can end up with something that comes home with you, whether you want it to come home with you or not. And that's why it's of vital importance when you go on these locations. I've seen a lot of people use different methods too. Uh, Something that happened down in Peoria at the old state hospital that came into play was pretty tremendous because Scotty Rourke was with us, and Scotty Rourke's he's a great medium, psychic medium. He's a mentor to me. I've been around him many times, but what had happened when we were all outside and we were off the property line. We had all of us go off the property line to say our prayer, set our protection. So we weren't physically on the property. And then after we did all that, he reached down and he grabbed a rock. And he took the rock and he put the rock in his pocket. And I said, "Why are you putting that rock in your pocket?" He says, "Because if I pick up anything negative, I'm going to send it to the rock. And when we go outside the building at the end of the investigation, I'm going to pull the rock out of my pocket and I'm going to throw it back across the property line." And I thought, wow, that is really cool.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of things that, we're talking about tonight. And we love everybody to go ahead and, and put their thoughts and everything down out here too. And you take the next one.
Oh yeah, well, I was just gonna finish that thought that I was on. It's not that I'm saying that we're better than anybody else. It's just that it makes you a better investigator. It makes your abilities for yourself. It's us that we have to focus on ourselves when it comes to that. It makes us better at what we do. Whatever it is that you do, whether it's tarot card readings, remote viewing, whatever it is, you spend the time, you put in the work on one subject. And like I say, I know master can be a big word, but you can get so good at it that yes, you can flow with it naturally. Like it's just a part of you now. You don't have to struggle. You get to a point where you don't even have to do certain things to get into it. Even without meditation, you can just snap and go right into it. Just like anything, you don't have to think about breathing. You just do it.
Right.
So it's the same thing. That's what I mean on that.
I just wanted to say we're about ready to leave the apartment, so I'm gonna
Did the ship
leave the
show up?
podcast. Oh yeah, we're getting first class, man, on the Starship.
You're not gonna let the kitty go ahead and operate.
You guys,
the screen, are you?
You guys are doing amazing with this podcast. I was listening. I have the headset on. It's very cool.
You're cheating.
Thank you to all the viewers here for coming in, and I mean this is a learning experience listening to these two gentlemen. It's amazing. So thank you so much for doing this, Greg, and I'm getting out of here. And thank you, Anthony, for coming in.
Yeah.
Have a great time. Have a great time.
Everybody have a good night. Chris will be in later to end it.
Chris is
Greg.
Get his autograph tonight if you can, will you please?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
All
Okay,
right,
so that as long as Reggie's gone, that means that you and I could leave too.
Hey, wait a minute. Mike's still on. I can hear it.
We're like we're like at school.
I had the cursor. I had the cursor on the X. I had it on the X to close out. But hey, I got to get going.
Okay.
I love you. I love you all with all my heart.
Okay, Red. Good night. So,
Yeah, the teacher's gone, so that means we don't have to stay in school. We can leave.
yeah, school's out for the summer.
Yeah.
I think that wasn't that one of his songs too?
Yeah. I really never listened to Alex Cooper. I
I
never
think
really
that's,
clicked with him. Even though I like rock and heavy metal, he's one
so. I
that I
think
never did.
George and Dexler is going to go ahead and lead the group now. You and I are leaving, and George can take over. That's not going to work. How? No, Greg, you are not allowed to leave. Lisa's probably going to put my collar back on. They're great people. Yes, it was, Greg. But
There's a question there too with Lisa Myers. It
yeah,
says, "Have any of you captured spirits' images through reflection? I capture activity through my big screens. Spirits love to wake me by hitting my TV more so than knocking on walls," which that is true because well, actually, what that is, that's a form of scrying. These like mine right here that I have. When I turn it off, that's just one dark screen. And there was a time many years ago that we used to have a different the older tube TVs, but not the console ones. It wasn't that far back. Um, right before the plasma TVs came out, you
are you
know.
saying projection TV?
Yeah, but no, it wasn't a protection. It was just a big. It was a tube TV, but it was right before the plasmas came out, so they were still around. You know what I mean? And I remember it was in my bedroom, and that was a time that I was really um, just going in with myself, getting involved with a lot of different spirits. Put it that way. And I remember seeing the TV, and I could see a line of people, like you would say, at the kind of lines that you see people buying bread, out in somewhere, just a long line, or to get on a ride or something, just a long line of people. And they were all, I could see them real clearly in my TV in the reflection. I was looking right at it, and they were going into my closet. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but they were going into my closet. And that's when, for me, I felt like I was looking into another dimension because they were going into another place, and they were like shadowy, but you could still kind of make them out. But it was just a long line, like a long line in the desert, something like that. Just a long line where it just curved like that. But that's a form of scrying. It's just like your crystal balls if you use that. So that those black screens like that, or anything that's dark like that and shining that reflects, I've heard that people that scry, uh, when they try to teach that is, especially if you use a crystal ball, um, that you're not going to see the images in the crystal ball like you see on TV in the movies. You know what I mean? Like you see them in Cinderella, or whatever.
Right.
Well, I look at it this way. I always say all of us are different. All of us can do certain things that maybe other people can't do because we're all different. But I can see into them, and I can see the images in them. So to me, when I heard that not too long ago, it says, well, I don't totally agree with that because I can see in them. You know, my abilities, I really don't talk about them. Actually, I have never talked about them very on podcasts. Yeah, I don't give myself titles, um, but I do have many of them because I've been learning these since I was 8. 5 is when I died. 8's when I started to see the spirits, and there was, unfortunately, it was more of the darker ones. But from that point on, I was constantly being taught, but I wasn't being taught by humans. I was being taught by the spirit, and which we can say even that because if we believe in the Bible says the fallen angels come and they taught man all these things. We got goddesses that teach the magic. You know, um, So since I was 8, I was able to, when I was 8 years old, not too far, when I was 8 and a half, I was already I was already manipulating energy, which I see now that that's what Reiki masters do,
Right.
or and I just, like I've always said before, I just never known, even to this day, I still don't really know the terminology of what it is that I do, because I don't know what the name of it is. You hear psychometry, I think it is, where you can pick up an object. I think that's it,
Right.
and you can see it, or you can place your hand on a house. I was doing all this stuff at a very young age, but back then, of course, we didn't have shows and people. There weren't no podcasts. There wasn't anything to teach you the vocabulary. I just knew what to do. I just didn't know what you called it. Never even thought about calling it anything. To me, I grew up like that. It's just been natural. I thought everybody did it. I thought this is the way. I mean, part of life, until you start figuring out that it's not, and you're just weird. Because if you tell anybody, yeah, you're an outcast now. So it was a very hard time for us, even me and you, Greg, to grow up with these abilities, because nowadays we have podcasts, we have people, we have you got everything that people can come and talk to you about it. It's a lot easier for, I guess, for kids that can to deal with this than it was for us.
I know as far as the psychic mediumship end of it is concerned, everybody has the gift.
Yeah,
And it's up to everybody on an individual basis to either learn it, use it, work at it, refine your gift.
right. And that's actually
And
the perfect word. Refine your gift. Find which one it is, which one you're more drawn to. Like, say, you keep seeing things, whatever. Find out what it is, which that gift is, and then start training in it. Train on that one. I know all the other ones are cool too, which you can dabble a little bit in it, but focus on that one, and start to train on that. This is where mentors come in, good solid mentors that you won't see on podcasts. I'm just saying that. Um, there's a lot of people that don't get on these podcasts or advertise. You're going to meet them through other people, word of mouth, actually, and they're out doing their work. I have an investigator friend that he does a lot of residentials, and he's awesome. He's actually one of my mentors, and he knows a lot of different traditions. Whether it be black magic or white magic, whatever you want to call it. What I mean, there's all these different types of call them traditions, practices, but he doesn't advertise anything, and he does have some really awesome stuff that he sees that we would love to get on film, but he won't film it. He goes and helps the family, gets the job done, and if he needs to stay in touch with the family or give him to someone else that's going to counsel them or whatever for a time, for a month, a year, whatever it is. See, it just doesn't stop when they leave, and but he never talks about it. I mean, he don't put it out there.
I know that's a great way of putting it. And I know that everybody that's in the room who has a friend or has the gifts themselves and is working on them all understand the significance of what we're trying to say. For the new people that haven't really been around it too much, and I haven't seen too many people in the room right now that I would consider to be at that level. And I'm not saying it's where they take it. It's where they start with it. It's where they end with it. I started later on that end. So, I haven't been around that long, as far as my gifts are concerned.
Yeah.
I started to understand them, later on. I knew things that were happening, and I knew things from when I was a youngster as far as the paranormal was concerned, but I didn't understand all the finer parts of it. And the finer parts of those things that we're talking about now. It's the gifts. It's why did I hear it? And why did my family hear it when nobody else did? That kind of thing. That sort of brings it to a new level. Now, I think Lisa also talked about this one. I have seen another world through my computer screen. It was amazing. Huge double doors and people and children from times ago walking.
Yeah, that again, that's the same thing because our screens are black screens. They're black and shiny, and it's so you can learn how to tap into that. But like I said, you have to practice. You have to practice this to get better at it. To become where it becomes fluent. You have to do this, and this is what I mean. A lot of people don't put in the time. They don't put in the work. It takes more than a couple of YouTube videos. You
Now,
have
when you say those people were walking through the closet, those people probably been walking that same way for hundreds of years.
right,
You know what I mean? And that's residual, right?
right. I
So
mean,
residual energy is some sort that carries those people through there.
I took it at the time. I looked at it like they were walking into the other side. That's where they were going. It's just because I can't see the light, kind of like you see this right now. Which you
Right.
know what that does look pretty cool. I like that this new
Yeah,
scene.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna keep it there for a while, um, because of course you're looking at a dark screen, so everything that you see is going to be dark. Necessarily that is dark where they're at, you know, uh, and but I believe what I saw was they were going to the other side. I don't know which side they were going, but that's when I first experienced that like that, and then which actually you can use anything. I mean, I've heard
Are you there? I think I just went out. Hold on.
was I on mute that whole time?
I think it's okay now, Rick. Are you okay now?
Me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought I had it on mute. I was there yakking to myself as usual.
Oh, was that you?
Yeah, I had it
I
on
thought
mute.
I went out.
No, that
That's why I left for a second to see what
yeah,
was going
no. I
on. I
just saw.
apologize.
I said can't hear you, Anthony. Yeah, because I had it on mute. I have so
Don't
I was
don't
giving
do
it.
that again.
I gave a real good explanation, man. Dang it! I got it. Now I can't know if I can do it again.
Do it. Do it. You got it.
What it was? I think I was. Did you hear? What I was talking about was when you asked me about the people. I said I believe that what I saw in there was the people were going to the other side. They were in line. They were all going to the other side. Uh, I because I look at things for my when I try to debunk things for myself is at the time I didn't believe in certain things like that. You know what I mean? Or kind of still don't. But I mean, so it didn't. It wasn't something that was in my head, in my imagination that I was conjuring up. Kind of like we heard some people say, we manifest that. Our consciousness manifests that, or we manifest a haunting. You know, I heard that not too long ago that hauntings aren't real. These spirits aren't real. It's actually us as a collective conscious that is causing these apparitions to manifest. So they're coming from us. So actually, we're the ones who are haunting these places. Which
Do you believe your closet was a portal?
I think so. I think so because this house here, I know that if I were to answer that, yes, I do believe, and then also too, I know there's another one on the ceiling in the same. It's in the bedroom, and on the ceiling there was another one that I actually saw open up. It opened up, it turned black, and it opened up, then it closed. And this was years ago. This was like, I don't know, it was a long time ago. But I've always had cats, and my cats, when they come to the bed, they'll sit there and they'll stare at that corner in the ceiling.
You
And
got to be kidding.
yeah, and they weren't around back then. I mean, this was years ago. This was years ago. I mean, they weren't even born yet. You know what I mean? And my both of my cats will do it. They'll sit there and I'll watch. I'll look at them, and I'll watch them, and they're just staring at that one spot. And so to me, it's like, okay, I know what you're looking at because you don't know what happened there because you weren't even born yet. You know, but they do that, and I've been trying to get it back through the screen to see that. So I've been trying. I haven't used this one yet, but you can use anything. I mean, anything that's like that. I mean, your screens here, these screens when you turn them off. The computer screen, like she said, she saw it there. Um, so I'm going back and trying to tap into that. I mean, it's pretty cool, but it's kind of boring. But um, I want to see what that does.
I forgot to say something back here, and I'm going back a little bit. Central Mass Paranormal Society, welcome. Thanks, George, for bringing that up. I'm glad I saw your post, and I remember seeing them, and I was going to say something at the time, but we were pretty involved with this uh, portal business, which is of the utmost importance because I've only seen one, and that was way down at Whispers Estates in Indiana, and I'll never forget it. And I also think that maybe some of the things that we saw at Gettysburg were of the same element. And I know, Anthony, you've talked about your forest. And why don't you give everybody an idea of what I'm mentioning now? Because unless you don't want to,
What, the forest?
about the portals
Oh,
in
I
the forest.
figure everybody's bored of that already.
No, no, there's a lot of people in here probably that haven't heard it. I mean, that's
Yeah,
important. It's unbelievable.
yeah. No, I mean, I don't have nothing to. I mean that I won't talk about there. I mean, there's so much. I mean, there's still so much that I haven't even brought up yet. Because I'm always caught up in everything else. For me, like I said, that place for me, yes, it's that we lost time. We did cross over to another dimension. We didn't come back to the same place. We've never been back. We never have been back to the same place that we left the first time here. You know, when we came back, everything was different. And I mean everything like things. It looked the same, but it wasn't the same. You knew that this was something like maybe like looking in the mirror. You look in the mirror and it looks so real, like you're seeing it, you know that it's not. If you could literally walk into that mirror like that, then you know that place is not this place. It looks like it, but it's not. So that's the type of experience that we went through, and then constantly because I've been there 11 times, and I'm still not going to stop going. And that's one of the reasons why I'm moving to this place so that I can. It'll be literally my backyard now, and but yeah, there's portals in there. They're different. Um, they're not like other like what you just see in the movies. I mean, I know I've seen different ones from what other people have tried to show. Uh, these are different. They're not. It's almost kind of like okay. The other day I had someone call me and said, "Hey, I got a friend. We went into a cemetery and we walked up to this tree and it was dark, and then my friend, something got on him, something affected him. So got him on live, I mean FaceTime, and you could see that his whole energy was gone. He used to be able to do a lot of manipulate energy, and you could see it, on him, the glow, whatever. And this time when I looked at him, it's like, dude, you don't have anything, and what? So they wanted to know because they've heard of my experiences at this place, so that because they lost time also, but they lost time backwards. we lost 6 hours. But they when they came back out, time had gone back an hour, and I think an hour and a half. So they were trying to figure out what this was. So they got in contact with me, and I said, well, no, the portals, the difference is that place in the forest, that is natural. What you encountered was something that was designed by someone else with a darker art. And it's more, they designed it as a booby trap because people do this. Another person who has abilities or very strong abilities, it's like traps out in the forest. You lay a trap out there for the rabbit or the fox or whatever. The fox, you lay a piece of food, and the fox comes in, and boom, the trap shuts, and you got him. Same thing. There's people out there. There's dark practitioners that'll do this. That'll design a portal like a spot, and when a person comes in, it just sucks everything out of them, their energy, everything. And now, or they can put an attachment there also. Now they have not only that their abilities are sucked away, now they have an attachment that they're going to take back with them because they're going to make a connection with that person, that dark practitioner that's going to constantly be drawing from them like a vampire.
Could it be that those very things that you're talking about were created centuries ago?
The ones in the forest are the ones
So
but also too the ones that are there that could have been someone from the past. You know what I mean? That's still, the energy is still there. But this one was, I think, for me, this one was more because I could hear chanting, so I know what it was. Like I told him right off the bat, I just said this one is not the same. This one, what I see here is, I mean, it only took me like 5 minutes. As soon as I looked at him, as this was designed because said people do that, and they're the energy vampires, as we know them sometimes, or just darker practitioners that make these booby traps out there, and it happens to him. I mean, he's a real strong person with real strong abilities. Yet this happened to him, But there's a difference. So that's what I mean. That portal was designed. The one that's in the portal here, that is something that's elemental, natural, that's thousands of years old. This one's a
like
lot more calmer. It'll
like the
show you.
like the god Pan.
Yeah, this one's a lot more calmer. This one will show you things with uh, with care. I say it like this: with care and love, it'll show you these things. It cares about you. It wants to teach you, so it shows you these things. It wants to nurture your abilities because, like I said, every time I come out of there, come out of here more upgraded. I have with different knowledge, and my perspective is different. Everything. But this one is just a trap to destroy you because it's made by man who practices a different type of practice, and this is a trap.
Are you able to differentiate between these right away, or does it take a while for you to?
No, I mean, as soon as he popped up with his two friends, and I mean, I know the guy already. I know his energy, and as soon as he popped up, just within minutes, as soon as they start talking about it, I already saw it. I already saw it and heard it, and then I had one of my co-hosts with me, Hertzman, and he also said the same thing. We said it almost at the same time. This was designed. I mean, it only took a few minutes. It doesn't take long. Then this is what I'm talking about. When you practice your abilities and you become good at it, practice, 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 practice. One, become the best you can, and until you can pick up all these little senses that are going to start going off, and then that's how quick you can do it. So that's what I was saying earlier. That's why it's so important to focus on what is attracting you. It may not be the one that you want at the time. Maybe you want to do this other cool stuff that you hear other people doing, but right now maybe the universe wants to show you this one. You got to learn this one before you learn the next one. And like I said, I really don't talk about my abilities because I don't like to, because I just don't like labels. I don't like to say I'm a psychic medium, dark practitioner, call upon. infernos and Damians and angels. I've crossed over so many times. I used to walk for years, half in the spirit side and half on this side, which was very hard. It would take me 3 days to get to that place, and then to stay in that mindset in that place. You know what I mean? Without being drawn back to either one of them, either die or come back this way. Walking that fence where I can see in and out. It took a lot of practice and a lot of years of doing it to be able to hold that without being distracted, or when distractions came, it didn't break my focus. See, it takes practice. This is like anything, a sport or anything you do. It takes practice, and how bad do you want it?
I
So
think Central Mass always also says I don't label. There's a lot of us don't either, and the reason it was brought up was strictly for the fact of learning. And usually you would go ahead and go to somebody that has a label like that in order to go ahead and use them as a mentor. So, I don't use it myself. I'm just an investigator, a medium if you wanted to say medium, but there's we're all mediums. We all have gifts,
yeah,
so it doesn't make any difference.
you're just a podcaster that doesn't wear pants on his podcast.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
Yeah, he's
There you
comfortable,
go.
comfortable and free.
Shorts are something that I find it really hard. I put a pair of blue jeans on while I was up north. I put a pair of blue jeans on one day and I walked out and I turned around and walked right back into the cabin and put my shorts back on. That just didn't feel right.
I'm wearing shorts too, and if I showed you my shorts, I think I got everybody beat.
You got big polka dots on yours or something?
I got some
99 Luftballons.
I got some ripped shorts, man, that are just
Red shorts?
no ripped. They're just so
Ripped.
ripped.
We
Yeah.
don't want to know. We don't want to know where the rip is. Okay. I could tell a little story on that. I used to have a pair of purple. Some of the guys in the group and used to call them. The color was lavender. And I went to get off the back of my boat one time into the water, and it had a rubber mat on it. And when I went across the rubber mat, they were so old that it ripped the whole panel off the butt. So my whole ass cheek was sticking out. And I'm the only one that didn't know it. And that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. You see any other questions here?
Yeah, I'm trying to concentrate on Carol's question up there where she said saw something that was about 8 foot tall trying to get up into my daughter's bedroom, had no neck, long arms, very long fingers, and pointed long nails, and hunched back.
Where do you see that?
It's on top.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. She said she saw it in her house.
So you had 8 foot or 10 foot ceilings in your house, Carol. You go at them with a broom or a stick or something. Long nails. Ike.
I don't know. It had 8 foot tall trying to get with my daughter had no neck long. It makes me think of that spirit in that movie Insidious. The way they describe the hands and everything. I mean, I have stuff like that in this house that's in the hallway, and it loves to go into the bedroom when we're in bed or I'm in bed, and like I said, I have two cats. You know, when cats walk on your bed, you can feel them real slowly, just kind of pressing down. And many times, my door gets kicked open. I mean, I can have it closed just a little bit, and just just boom, and it just opens up. Um, and then I feel it like walking on the bed. But I always think it's my cat, but it's not. But I have seen it when I'm in the living room. But this has been going on since we lived in this house. We've been here 23 years, and so that's kind of like what I keep seeing in my mind. I mean, they just just depends what the where the location is. I mean, the land. It would just you would have to do some research on that. I mean, like I don't know your house where what kind of land is built, who was there before.
I think
Did
she
they?
has an old house in New Jersey. I think. I That's the way I picture it.
She
I'm
said
always usually wrong when I do that too. By the way.
she said the Lord's prayer and it left.
Yeah.
Well,
Woo!
that opens up another can of worms, and I won't get into it.
I have a full body in all black in my basement. I captured. It was so.
So
I
cool,
can't.
never showed fear. Carol, it's your house. Okay, so she's answering to
But
Carol.
Carol's been there for a long time, I believe. The whole family's been in that house.
Usually, the ones that are in your house, they kind of, I mean, for the most part, they don't do anything but walk around and appear here and there. You know, when you're looking at TV, you'll see it at the corner of your eye, or and even at that, you know how people say the majority of the people say they see a spirit in the corner of their eye, like right over here on the peripheral vision, and then when they try to look at it, it disappears, or you can't, or if you look away or you blink, it disappears. And this was something that I heard a long time ago too. So I started to practice this. Okay, don't blink when I can see it. I'm going to hold on to it, and I'm going to keep seeing it without looking at it yet, and then I'm going to focus on it to where I can start to move my eyes to where I can start to look at it straight forward now. Now, it's said that we can't do that because we have filters on our eyes, and the reason why cats can see them because they don't have the same filters on our eyes, but we don't have that filter on the corner of our eye, so that is why we can see that other spectrum of light that we that goes that you can see the spirits, kind of like we use our cameras or spectrum camera,
Yes.
so those filters are not on the corner of our eyes, so that's why we see them, and we can't see them straight. But like for me, I've gotten to the point that where I kept on practicing it, and since I have them here in the house, then I always had practice time. So, and I would hold on to it, and I would start to move my eyes slowly, focusing on that. Wouldn't let it go. Like you get your preparation so strong that you won't let that vision go, and then I'll start to slowly start to turn my eyes and hold it where I'm not gonna be distracted by anything. So again, that's what I'm saying. Practice, practice,
Yep.
practice, and then you can see it straight ahead.
So I'm trying to figure out who is that Facebook user. Is it still? Is this Courtney? Courtney, is that you?
I mean, it's no different
And
than looking
Lisa.
at energy.
And Lisa says
You saw the live
you
pic.
hate live pics, but you can still see the still image, Greg. Before pushing play, Greg. Yes, yes, you're right, Lisa. I know exactly what you're saying. And I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it in a sort of a segmented mode. That's what I wanted to see. Uh, that would be interesting that way. In other words, if I had what you had, Lisa, and I was able to have it on my computer here, I would blow it up really big and then I would move it individual frames just to see what I could pick up on it. I'm not denying it's something, abnormal, paranormal, whatever you want to call it, because it is. But you have quite a bit going on there. So I understand that part too. And it can make itself look like anything. It can make it look like your worst nightmare for sure. So they're actually playing with you, I think. What do you think about that,
Which one?
Anthony?
I'm trying to see over here.
As far as apparitions are concerned, and like what Lisa said, she had an apparition. I have a full body in all black in my basement. I captured. It was so cool. Never show fear, Carol. It's your house. But the part about this is the fact that I had asked her. I said, "Can you send me just individual pics rather than you could." It was on a movie, so it was moving. So and it was on my phone, and it's really hard to go ahead and focus on anything on there anyway. So I would love to have it where I would be able to go ahead and have it on the computer and look at it,
Yeah,
because then you could get right into features and everything on the face.
right.
There's things that you don't normally see that you can pick up on the big screen that'll get you running.
Yeah, really. Right now, for me, I've started to kind of go back to the way I was when I was younger, before the gadgets and all this,
Yeah.
and like I say, even that forest, you can't guarantee that any of the equipment's going to work. And for the first, I don't know, 5 6 times that we were going, after the first time, I didn't even take any more equipment in there. I went in there for a personal experience, and it's cool the stuff that I've seen in there and was shown that I would have loved to have on video, except for that one portal that I did get during the daytime, which was not too long ago. And but So for me now, I work more on my abilities to be able to see things without seeing. I mean, if that makes sense, you know. So it's more of a deeper way of doing it.
Oh,
So
because you're using your whole entire body.
right. So I'm tuning my body and my abilities now, in these places because like I've told Reggie, Reggie loves the spirit box. I said I got so many recordings. I got so many not CDs, SD cards. They're the other ones from the last time I went to the forest and the camera. Their cards are still in the camera and in there because I don't. I just don't. It doesn't matter to me what it's on there. I know the experiences that the real time experiences that I'm going through in there. That's really what I'm after more now. Instead of just catching videos of
There'll come a time that are you there? I think it just froze. Anthony. Uh-oh. He's going to have to back out, I think. How are we going to get him back in? Hmm. That's going to be a big trick. You see, we're having an issue here because this isn't my page. This is we went ahead and did it this way, and this is Reggie's page, and we should have just gone ahead and said because I'm not an admin on here, and I don't know how he's going to get back on, which is really going to be a hard thing to do. But we're getting ready to. I could go ahead and talk a little bit about this now. I'm going to be. My shows are moving off of the Shadow Hunters page. Uh, there's not going to be any more live shows on that page anymore. So I'm going to be working through a couple different platforms. No, Chris is on another show, Carol, and he's on Rex's show. Rex Allison. That's the show he's on, and I don't, it's 7:19. Who knows? We're gonna just play it by ear. If I haven't seen him pop back on, then I don't know how else we're gonna play this. The important part about this is the fact that what I was trying to say about the shows is everything's going to be new and different. We're going to try to go ahead and have different intros, not the same ones, lousy ones we had before. And I'm not saying that that's the good way to go ahead and do about 5 or 6 shows in a row. I wanted to have a little more individuality on my show. So I wanted to have different intros for both shows, for Metaphysical Crossing and for the Shadow Hour. And for a lot of people that don't know about the Shadow Hour is the one that I've been on for since 18. And it's a great show. It's interviews that I do with people in the paranormal community, people that are friends of mine from across the country, that have a story to tell, have, something that's going on with the paranormal that a lot of other people don't know about. I had Richard Lale Lillard on, and he happens to be the gentleman that was from the Ghost Adventure series. He played this unusual character. He would play a demon. He would play the devil, other different characters, and on different episodes through the seasons. And I could never pick up his name. I never found out what his name was until finally, right after I first started really getting into putting a show on. I wanted to go ahead and present him to everybody because I'm sure there were plenty of people that had seen this gentleman on the air with this great role that he plays and not really know who the guy was. And he's a very eccentric individual. He lived in California. He now lives in New York. He's Victorian. He dresses Victorian. Everything's Victorian. His clothes are all tailored that way. His hat, he wears top hats and everything all the way down the line. And he was one of the. And Anthony just said, lost the internet. This always happens when I mention the forest. There you go. That's a good thing. He moved to New Orleans, I believe. No, I when I had him on the show, he had just moved to New York, Central Mass, and if he's in New Orleans, maybe I know he took a trip down there. I don't know if he's living down there or not. If he did, hey, I'll have to go ahead and get a hold of him. I want to have him back on again this year anyway, coming up. There's a lot of people that I haven't had on for like 3 or 4 years that would be great to catch back up with as far as where they are, what they're doing. There's a lot of great paranormal people I've had on. Two biggest people, three biggest, two of the bigger people that I wanted to have on that I could never get on. One of them is from Hellier, and that's Randall. No, not Randall. Well, anyway, I'm going to leave that go. Maybe I'll catch up with it later on. But two of the guys, Carl Pfeiffer and Connor Randall, that's his name, and those were the two gentlemen that had supposedly come up with the Estes method, or they called it the Estes method, based on the fact that all their experiments were done at the Stanley Hotel in Estes, Colorado. Now, there's other gentlemen that'll go ahead and tell you that that's the double double blind ghost box is the original experiment that was conducted before the Estes started. And that actually has a recorder built in line. So you could actually hear what the machine is saying too. So I know that a lot of times with a lot of the 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 shows that we have done over the last 4 or 5 years, and not metaphysical, but the shows we've done, we have had some very great guests. Uh, I had mentioned the fact that it would have been Connor Randall. I would have loved to get the Greg Newkirk and his lovely wife on the show too. That would have been another one. And I thought he got his internet back, but I guess not. And that was Anthony. Uh, those were two other people that I knew from a long time ago. Well, not that long ago. What's 7 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that. In the paranormal community, that seems to be a long, long time because of investigations and places to go. Why don't we talk about, as long as we're talking about that part, why don't we go ahead and mention investigations that we're going to be on this year, or investigations that you were on last year that really were very interesting for you? And that would be something we could spend the last half hour discussing and talking about. And he said, there's Anthony's on there now on the chat, and he says, my internet went down. I'm backstage. Uh, Anthony, you're going to have to get a hold of Chris, and he's on Rex Nielsen's. You could probably get him on his phone and see if he can't get you back on here. That would be great if you could do that. But investigations you've been on that you're going to do this year, big ones, little ones, it doesn't make any difference. I like to hear about all of them. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you know, I know that Central Mass Paranormal has got to have a lot of great places that they've been and they've been around. Are you guys at Central Mass? Are you guys just like Haunted Maine or Haunted Me? I think it Haunted Me, which is Maine. That was a show that was on for about 3 or 4 years. It was a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people, the investigators, and everybody that worked on it. Let's see if we got any more. No, that's about it. So if you do have any of those investigations that you want to mention, you can go ahead and do that. I know I went down in May. I was down in the Keys at my brother-in-law's house, And I was lucky enough for them to take me and drop me off over at the fort. It was a Union fort in Key West that was constructed pre-Civil War by the Union forces, by the Federalist troops. And what happened was at that fort, they went ahead and took and placed Robert the Doll there. And before that, I had seen Robert the Doll probably maybe 12 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I had seen him in Key West, and he was in like a big house. And I think it was right next door to the Hemingway residence. If not, it was the Hemingway residence. But what's interesting about that is a lot of people say that Robert the Doll has more energy than the one that's out in Massachusetts, or is it that the Warrens have? I can't remember the name of her. But anyway, I went there. There was like one other person in the whole entire museum, and got my ticket. And she says, "You know what you're doing?" And I said, "Yes, I do." She says, "Remember, when you get close to him, just ask him for permission to take his picture." And I took a bunch of pictures, and sort of talked to him as I was doing it, and like I would with anybody else. And Annabelle was the other one. Is Courtney? Is that you? Maybe she's playing with it. But anyway, that is an extremely interesting doll, and if you ever get an opportunity, the energy levels extended probably to me. I was within probably 15 or 20 yards, because you come down a corridor and then you go around the corner and then the doll's there, and then you can go down the rest of the corridor to where. Oh, Azrian, I am so sorry. I didn't know that was you. I'll try to remember. Thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. Robert, he had that energy. Uh, it's something that I would look around to make sure if that there wasn't anybody else around, and took my chances by myself, because if you're there with a bunch of people, there's always somebody that's going to make some sly comment or something, about how strong they are, or something really stupid, and then everybody ends up in trouble. And I didn't want that to be the case, so I really enjoyed the fact that I was there with them by myself. And that was a highlight of that particular time. We're trying to go ahead and get back out to the Illinois Penitentiary, State Penitentiary, which is in Joliet, where Joliet Jake was from the Blues Brothers. And then, okay, here's an interesting one, as long as we're on there. Central Mass, and they've been around since 2005. That's pretty cool. And they investigated the S.K. Pierce house in Groton, Mass in May. Is that the old President Pierce? I think. Was that his house? Bet you that had something. And if you want to go ahead and let us know of any of the particular things that happened when you were there on your investigation. Please do so. For everybody else, if you have any other things you want to share with us, we got some minutes left. We got like 27, and then hopefully Chris will be here, and nobody answers. I'm trying to think how to help him out in this. Dang Forrest, Anthony says. Still here, Greg. Lisa, thanks for hanging in there. Adriana has some great stories. She has a lot of work that she's done in a lot of cemeteries. And I want to say, aren't you in New Jersey too, Adriana? I know you're on the East Coast somewhere. There's a lot of great groups. There's a lot of people out there that have done a lot of tremendous work. I know over the years, and our situation here is a little different. Uh, we're limited to the amount of really great places. Joliet State Penitentiary, once again, is one of those places that they brought. We were one of the first groups that went through there, and I want to say that was 18. And they still hadn't have a couple of buildings open. Connecticut is what Asriana is saying. Excuse me, it wasn't New Jersey. I get everything wrong tonight, but that's what makes it fun. We all try our best, and that's all we can do. If it falls short, it falls short. Uh, what was I going to say? If you want to share something, Asriana, about the cemeteries and that, I know I've watched some of your work, and you do a great job. That's right, Carol. You are the one that's from New Jersey. But I thought maybe there was a possibility that maybe there's two. You're not the only one from New Jersey, are you? Wasn't that where, what's the name one was? Uh, Sunday night, HBO, The Gangster. Oh, that was the boardwalk too. I can't think of anything right. Anyway, we try to come up with some different stories. I one of the places that I came back from when we were up in northern Wisconsin, our family, my wife's family, and myself have been up the boardwalk. You know, that's uh, thank you, Lisa. One of the places that we stayed for a long, long time in the family was on a particular lake up there, and I've been there for about 50 years. And this last year, they went ahead and somebody bought all the property up to the resort we stayed at, and they had an old lodge building that belonged to all this property, and it was called the Waldheim, and it was a combination of stone and logs, and had 2 floors. And I was privileged back in the day to actually go ahead and witness a piano playing without anybody there in the middle of the night. And at first, I thought it was a player piano. But there were two pianos there, and the one that was playing that night, I found out like 12 years later or something like that, 15 years later, that it was the regular piano that was playing, and the pedals were going up and down. And I wondered why it was playing in the middle of the night like that, you know. And we were staying upstairs in the rooms. And that's where the old owner, the gentleman that died, and a lot of you guys already knew the story because that was a guy by the name of Harry Starr, and the lake was named after him, the Star Lake, northern Wisconsin. And I've talked to Harry. I've done a lot of work with Harry. I've done a lot of spirit box sessions. I've done a lot of Estes methods. I found out, well, the sad part about Harry's story is Harry was in his 30s. He was an entrepreneur who had gone up there. It started when they started the logging operations up there. He went ahead and built his own mill and actually went ahead and started doing wood. And then he built the Waldheim before that up there. And it was up the road from where the sawmill was. And on his wedding day, he got a call to the mill. There was some issue, and went to the mill, and next thing they knew that uh, Harry lost his head. So I was always interested and always asked the questions of how he had died, and he had always mentioned the word head. And I thought at first it was dead, and no, how did you die? And he would say head. And it was like, wow. And then I heard the story, and the story had it that's exactly how he had died. He got in the way of a log that was coming through on these chains, and it literally just took his head right off. And it was like a spry guy, 30 some years old. How could he not have gotten out of the way of the log? Something had to delay him. And I was doing a spirit box session, and I actually got the word hernia. And that sort of solves it for me. So I went ahead and passed that information on to the people that were in the area that knew of Harry and everything else. And it was like, it sort of put a sort of a more of a ending to it, that, you know, without him knowing whether somebody pushed him or something like that, or you never can tell what would have happened back in those days. So Anthony says, I heard an owl in the room right before the internet went down. And then I saw something here from Adriana. She says, we have a lot of old Civil War and Revolutionary cemeteries. And that would be really interesting to go to do. I always enjoyed Gettysburg, and that's where my trip started, was at Gettysburg when I was a young kid. So it was knock down, bang 'em up type day. And I know there's a lot of people here that know my story, but that will be for another night. That will be for a different day. And I want to just go back again and mention a lot of the people's names that have been here tonight, that have stopped by or still here and have taken the time to hang around with me and Anthony. And, you know, totally unprepared tonight. We were just filling in for Reg, and we thought we'd try different things and we were going to have a guest or two. And then it was like, well, why not take the time with you guys to go ahead and see what you guys want to do. If you want to go ahead and do something like that and have questions to ask and Q&A and whatever. So it's been a great time that way. So we had once again, we had Lisa Myers, Carol Garcia, Adriana, Pedro Cardoza, Jamie Lynn Keller, Barbara Woodbury Spear, Lisa Myers, George and Dexler, another great person. We used to see him quite a bit when we used to do the lives. I wish we could have done a live tonight, but it's 7:44, so it probably wouldn't even be worth warming it up. If we do this again, we definitely will do some live. Jamie Lynn Keller again. Mary Lynn Bast. Carol Garcia. So that was Adriana that asked that question. If I'm missing anybody, make sure you put your name in the comments. I know it's a little hard to imagine, but I know, and I've got a show tomorrow night again too. So, and tomorrow night I'll have Rex Ellison on from the paranormal group that's going to be doing the investigation at the haunted YMCA in Rock Island, Illinois. And I enjoy talking to him. He's a fantastic gentleman. He's an awesome artist. Actually, right now, Chris and Kristen are on his show tonight. So, and I think I had him on for a little bit the other night. I don't know what was going on, but dimensions or parallels. Yes. Are you talking about how those lines cross and that you got a bunch of them across the United States, and you have a real hot zone in West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky, I think it is. There's a triangle in there, and that's where Hellier came. I don't know how many people saw Hellier, but that's another thing that you could put on your list to do. That would be really neat, is go watch Hellier. And now they have the Unbinding that's coming out too. That's going to be out at the end of this month. This is going to be exceptional. If you're fans of the Newkirks and Connor Randall and Carl Pfeiffer, it's going to be an eye opener. I know even Hellier was for me, but basically because I knew those guys. I knew those guys from the Stanley because I used to go out there and I had my daughter. She was my cameraman, and they used to like her. Who else? Who else do we have? Central Mass. Thank you very much for being here, Central Mass. It was great having you guys on here. That's for sure. The Illinois Ghost Society, TIGS. Where are you guys from? I think I saw you guys a couple times on my list of groups from Illinois. I would love to go ahead and send you the links for or the notices on my shows on Wednesday and Friday. If you want to go ahead and post it down below here before you leave, that would be great too. It would be great having you there. It'd be great because we do a pretty good job with metaphysical crossing, and it's done all basically with spirit boxes, any different types of instrumental transcommunication or ITC from your dowsing rods to pendulums for validation, things like that, for conversations we have through the spirit boxes. That helps too for validation. And there's a lot of people that I know are very good using pendulums, and there's a lot of other people that are very good using dowsing rods. I've seen some exceptional work done by a friend of mine, Mike Wright, who did it at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital quite a few years ago with me, where a friend of ours had left a straw hat, and he wanted to know if his hat was still there. And we went out there, and right away we were going down the hallway on the second floor of the hospital, and there was a chair sitting on the side, and there was a straw hat. And it was like, wow, I didn't have my phone with me, so I couldn't take a picture. So I went ahead and said, I'll get it later on. And when we came back up to get the picture, the hat was gone. So lo and behold, it was on day 3, and we had about maybe 4 more hours to investigate, and we were going to leave. And it was like, we need to find the hat. I got to get a picture of the hat. So Mike Wright, I said, Mike, I said, you've been really hot with those dowsing rods. Why don't you ask the dowsing rods to take you to Stanley's hat? And we were on the first floor when this started, and the dowsing rods took us all the way up to the 3rd floor, and then all the way down to the other end of the hospital, to the last room on the left. Sounds like a horror movie, doesn't it? Last room on the left. And we walked into the room, and all my hopes were dashed because there was a cabinet there, but I could not see the hat. And then I went ahead and I looked at it from a different angle, and way in the back on top of this cabinet, sure enough, the hat was there. And got it down and took a couple of pictures and brought him back to him, and he was really excited. And that's a great story for how dowsing rods can work for you if you set the intention properly, which was great. And those are the kinds of memories you'll never forget. I won't. I've enjoyed them over the years. I've enjoyed all the people I've worked with. Illinois Ghost Society. I used to be a member of Ghost Research Society from the south side of Chicago with Dale Kazmarek. And I am now a member of the Shadowhunters Paranormal Investigations and Events out of Lakeville, Illinois. And I started doing podcasts for them, and now they're revolutionizing their page, and there's going to be no live podcasts on the page. So I'm taking them to a different place, to a different home, and I'll be broadcasting, I hope, from my page. I'm going to probably create a page for both shows, or both of the shows together. Who knows? I haven't decided yet. And once I do that, I'll be able to go ahead and have everybody go ahead and come on there and make comments and do everything else they want to do. Because it'll be really interesting. And it's great to deal with this kind of thing. As far as this end of the paranormal, I know I'll be doing more work actually going ahead and broadcasting next spring from out at the Haunted Mill, and I'll be working with another family of mine. I have two different families. I have the Dark Horse Paranormal family, and I also have the Supernatural Link family. The Supernatural Link family, that's the Staffords, KD and KD, and they've treated me like a brother for a long time, and they're the best. And I enjoy their work, and I enjoy KD's work, and he's from the Ghosts of Devil's Perch, and he's been on, I want to say, two or three of those type shows. There's one or two earlier ones, but anyway, uh, they're family. You know, I wish that I was able to go drive to Missouri every weekend and go see them, but they're on the far side of the state, so it's quite a trip. But that's the way it goes. You know, like I said, family's family, and it's. Wait a minute. I went in the basement. Other day, I went into my basement, and the man was whistling Dixie super loud. Was the day I captured that spirit. Well, maybe he's an old Confederate soldier. Who knows, Lisa? See you tomorrow, Lisa. Thanks for stopping. Anthony, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, like you're coming back. I want to say goodnight for Anthony to all you people that are here. We've got like 5 minutes, and who knows, Chris Carr should be back in the room by then, and we'll be able to close out this pop stand. And it was a
Hey
great
there.
pleasure.
I
Hey,
forgot you couldn't see us that in backstage.
I didn't see you.
Might have happened to Anthony as well a little earlier.
Yeah, Anthony was banished to the pointless forest.
Oh,
Oh
no.
goodness.
Oh no. Is that so? His internet went
He
down?
said he started talking about the portal in the forest down there,
All
That's
right.
why he said
and all of a sudden his internet went dead.
He said he heard an owl in his room
Yeah,
just before the
you
internet.
heard an owl.
Is that the owl that's behind you, Greg? Is that haunted? There's three of them.
No, those are my
Did
friends.
you project those owls at Anthony?
No,
Wasn't me.
I would never do that to Anthony.
Ooh.
Who? Who? How'd your show go?
Great. We just came off a great show with Rex Nielsen, All Out Paranormal, on a Supernatural Inc. channel on Facebook. You guys can check that out. And Rex is coming on our show right after this. So it's kind of back-to-back interview time. And we had a lot of fun talking to him and talking about our theories, hypotheses on the paranormal and things like panpsychism and some things we haven't talked about in a while. It was good to revisit it, and we had a good time. And Rex told us some great stories, and he's got quite a few more. So
He's going to shoot me because I went ahead and I called him Rex Ellison again.
That happens sometimes.
God, I'll tell you, I can't. It's been a long night.
you were carrying the flag all by yourself tonight.
Well,
Regis
part
and
of it.
Cooper.
Part of it.
I think he's backstage
Yeah,
as well,
backstage.
and it looks like he's looking for Alice to come out on stage or something back there. I don't know. Let's
Who
pop
would?
him up real fast, and we'll wrap
Reggie.
up. Oh, I think he just turned it off.
Oh,
Never mind.
darn it.
He must have heard
Why
me.
don't you bring Anthony back in?
He's not backstage.
Yeah.
And we have to wrap up too because we
Okay,
have,
that's cool. That's cool.
But
Thank you very much for coming back to pull the pin.
Oh, we like it here. What can we say?
I think it's pretty awesome having you guys on whenever I can.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
And we want to
Same.
come on with you and Reg, and we'll do that. We've been on hiatus for a little while, but we're coming back.
Well, that's good. Did you get any work done when you were off?
Hell no, that was the point.
We took a little break.
Yeah.
Backstage.
Why did I say that? Now I'm getting bad looks from Chris.
No, not at all. Not at
Oh
all.
no.
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 It was nice to take a break.
Yeah.
It wears on you. You're doing like 18 shows a week now.
Yeah.
Jeez, like Superman out there.
You took a break.
I wouldn't say that. I wish I could remember everything. And just when I come up with a thought, I'll get halfway through it and then I'll forget a word. Like all these lovely people that are in the audience got to hear tonight, like Connor Randall and Carl Pfeiffer.
Oh yeah.
How many times can you miss one of those?
Right. I can't wait to see the unbinding when it comes
Oh
out.
yeah. Well, I was telling everybody about it that it's coming out at the end of the month, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think so. It's coming out
Yeah,
soon.
it's coming out soon.
I keep seeing things for it on the YouTube.
Yeah.
That I'm sure that'll be good.
Oh, it's going to be. From what I saw the other night, I was on, because I still am a Patreon with them,
Oh wow.
and went over there, and they were talking, they were having a conversation about it, and it's taking it to a different level.
Nice. I don't
That's
doubt
awesome. Yeah, I can
it. We
imagine.
loved Hellier like you did. It's one of those shows that we definitely vouch for and enjoyed thoroughly. Broke some new ground.
I was just thinking about that when my son-in-law was here for 3 or 4 days at the end before they went back on Tuesday. They went back home and left the kids here. And they were talking the same thing. And I couldn't think of Hellier for some reason.
Yeah, that happens.
We watched them. Look
There's
at Reggie's here.
Reg is live. He's waiting for Alice.
That is so cool. That is like so small.
That's like a very intimate affair.
But look at how big it really is, though. You see all those side things there where the people are?
Yes, but it's still way smaller than usual event.
What do you mean, like being at the Chicago Stadium or something
Yeah,
like that?
something like that. Yes, and yeah, ECU Center. I don't know over here in
This is Madison, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. I love it.
Well, we gotta pull the pin.
Yeah, we're gonna pull the pin.
Okay.
Go join Rex.
Thank you, everybody, for a great night tonight. Great show. Glad for all of you to be here. We really enjoyed having you on, and we will see you with the next show tomorrow night, Shadow Hour, 8 p.m.
Right on.
Awesome.
Hope to see you then.
We'll see you
Good night,
then.
everybody.
Good night. Thank you.